In my last video, I showed how the left and the media, I know I'm repeating myself, turned their entire gun narrative on its head to somehow have a transgender shooter and Christian victims make sense in their world. Hours after posting that, a famous guitarist not only proved my point again, he went even further to make what could be seen as a threat to his political opponents. Rosie the Riveter here, dropping more truth bombs to destroy fake news and propaganda. Please take a moment to help share my content with others by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Hit the notification bell as well to get new videos when they are uploaded. Now, let's get into today's riveting topic. Easter evening, former E Street Band guitarist Stevie Ray Zant offered his 2 cents regarding the shooting at the Nashville Christian School. He starts by insulting Republicans and then follows up with a claim that younger generations will unite and exterminate these cockroaches. It could be seen as a warning, but it could also be seen as a threat. After receiving backlash, Van Zant deleted his tweet and replaced it with a much more pleasant one filled with even more insults, including all the typical and false leftist narrative accusations of going after women's rights, black voting, harassing trans, and shooting kids. So, according to this woke leftist, trying to prevent women from killing their babies, protect voting rights, stop children from cutting off their body parts, and defending the Constitution makes them, what did he say, scumbag Russian bots and maggot cockroaches. Quite an intellectual argument there, Van Zant. That tweet was deleted as well, but he later replied to a response questioning his use of the insult cockroaches. Claiming the use of cockroaches was symbolic, he then completed more insults on his political opponents and then dropped that when he said exterminate, he was talking about the ballot box. Maybe, but gosh, now he's saying that not only Republicans are white supremacist scumbags, he also called them stupid. How peace-loving and uniting of him. When you've reduced your argument to nothing but insults and name-calling, you've already lost. Regardless, while the media ignored Van Zant's call for Republican extermination, and I assume accepted his explanation that he was referring to the ballot box, they did not afford conservative commentator Michael Knowles that luxury just a month ago. In fact, they completely and purposefully lied about his comments to accuse him of calling for the extermination of the trans community. While doing a search on the internet, the only outlets I found that reported on Van Zant's tweets were right-leaning and conservative publications. Yet within hours of Michael Knowles giving his CPAC speech, headlines were posted all over mainstream and social media outlets, prompted by the left-wing magazine The Daily Beast, lying about what he actually said. The Daily Beast's initial headline was, Michael Knowles says transgender community must be eradicated at CPAC, and posted a sub-headline of, This is genocidal. Despite YouTube bearing Michael's actual speech in the algorithm, which completely proves my point, there were plenty of commentaries calling him transphobic, a bigot, and promoting the initial lie that I could indulge myself in. So you can judge for yourself what Michael actually said. Here it is.
The problem with transgenderism is not that it's inappropriate for children under the age of 9. The problem with transgenderism is that it isn't true. The problem with transgenderism is that it puts forward a delusional vision of human nature that denies the reality and importance of sexual difference and complementarity. The problem with transgenderism is that its acceptance at any level necessarily entails the complete destruction of women's bathrooms, women's sports, all of the specific rights and spaces that women currently enjoy. There can be no middle way in dealing with transgenderism. It is all or nothing. If transgenderism is true, if men really can become women, then it's true for everybody of all ages. If transgenderism is false, as it is, if men really can't become women, as they cannot, then it's false for everybody too. And if it's false, then we should not indulge it, especially since that indulgence requires taking away the rights and customs of so many people. If it is false, then for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole preposterous ideology at every level.
Michael immediately fought back against the lies, and Daily Beast was told to reword their headline or face a libel lawsuit. They updated their headline, but they also kept the genocidal comment to keep the narrative alive. The media on all sides know that most people actually get their news from the headline only. It's just a fact. They don't bother to read the article, and they just regurgitate what the headline tells them without reading any of the article, where the truth is often buried multiple paragraphs down. The Daily Beast knew they were lying, yet they didn't care that they were lying because they knew people believe the first thing they see or read. This happens all the time. Retractions and corrections are made, but they're usually hidden and not too widely shared, so many don't see and don't care even if they do. Even though Daily Beast had to change its headline, there are people that still honestly believe deep down in their hearts that Michael Knowles said we needed to get rid of the transgender community and are arguing that calling for the eradication of transgenderism ideology is the same as calling for the obliteration of all transgenders, dismissing Knowles' clear explanation because they want to continue to choose to believe the lie. Joseph Goebbels, chief propagandist for the Nazi Party, famously said, "If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it." So, when the Daily Beast published their headline, people like Van Zandt automatically believed it because they've been told that propaganda for years. His tweets show it. Michael did not and never has called for the elimination of the trans community. But Van Zandt saw no issue calling for the eradication of his political enemies. Anybody else see the irony here, or is it just me? One side is able to separate an ideology from the people, while the other throws everything into the same pot. One side can hate the sin but love the sinner, while the other can't separate the sin from the sinner. I'll let you decide which viewpoint the peace-loving hippie seems to be expressing, and which one Michael Knowles discussed. While Van Zandt received a few days of uncomfortable pushback from conservatives on Twitter, Michael is still dealing with protests and threats as he tours colleges giving speeches. But it's not just Michael. Conservatives and conservative groups are being targeted by those who believe these lies promoted by the mainstream media. Just this past week, an activist at the University of Washington confronted a Turning Point USA group on campus and stated,
"Yeah, no, you just support the genocide of trans kids and you want everyone who's born to die? Yeah, no, you do."
Gee, I wonder where he got that idea. Before running away, he overturned their table, sending all their flyers, pamphlets, and other items flying, while screaming,
My campus,
Hey, that's illegal.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
That's assault, actually.
another leftist propaganda lie about the right. I do wonder, with the pandemic over, why is he still wearing a mask? Is it to cover his identity so he can do violence and then flee unidentified? Just asking. We keep being told the right is the violent ideology, but why are all the calls for violence and actual violent acts coming from the left? You can argue the difference was that Steve was a tweet and Michael was a speech. You could, but then how do you explain the media ignoring these statements made during speeches?
I said if we were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of them.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
But this bias is nothing new. The media has been doing it for decades. Running up to the 2012 election, Sarah Palin's PAC published a poster showing Democrats from areas Republicans carried in 2008 that voted for the health care bill in 2010. Stated at the bottom was the comment, "Take back these 20." It was obvious that it was referring to winning these seats back, but that is not how it was reported. Since they chose to use the target sign, the media convinced people the PAC was implying to literally take those congresspeople out. Then, when Gabrielle Gifford was shot during a campaign event, the media immediately jumped on the incident, blaming Palin and conservatives for specifically targeting her. Except, like most times, the shooter turned out to be a left-winger that hated conservatives. Even PolitiFact, who is no friend to conservatives, had to label the accusation against Palin as false. Regardless, the narrative had already been set, and the people's minds were already made up. And the lies continue. We have a serious issue, America. The progressive ideology propaganda has been pushed upon these people through media, politics, Hollywood, and music. Lies have become truth, and the truth is spun as lies and often outright censored. Citizens have been brainwashed into a cult devised by the deep state, and we need an intervention now to wake the masses up. Yet, there is hope. Narratives that used to take 6 months to a year to be corrected are now debunked within days, if not hours, as we just saw with Michael Knowles. I don't care who you are. The vast majority really don't want to believe lies. They want truth and truth tellers. This is evident as ratings and subscriptions for CNN, MSNBC, NPR, New York Times, Washington Post, and many others plummet, while The Blaze, The Daily Wire, Just the News, OANN, and other conservative outlets are skyrocketing. The truth will set us free in more ways than one. Makes you wonder why the media is trying so desperately to hide it, doesn't it? I'm Rosie the Riveter, and that's my 2 cents, but what do you think? Leave your comments down below. And if you enjoy my content, please consider supporting my work on Patreon. You can find all my videos and my blog, Liberating Letters, at thefactspaper.com. You can also start your own research on the Facts Paper by exploring the thousands of links to articles I have, including those noted in my videos, sharing the truth fake news propagandists won't. Investigate and discover the truth for yourself.